Hello everybody, my name is Dean. Welcome to Books and Quirks. Today is Friday, and in lieu of a Friday Reads, I'm actually going to give you my October TBR. I have a lot of books planned for October. I absolutely love this month. It's my favorite month of the entire year. Just because of Halloween, and I love, the creepy, atmospheric, type vibe that October has, and the fall weather has arrived, so it's just, getting me in the mood for all of those, creepy or maybe weird or atmospheric, type of books. So let me get right into it and tell you what I plan to read for the month of October. So I know it's already the 4th of October, but I haven't started any of these yet. But the first book is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. This is a carryover from Monsterathon. It's the only book of my entire Monsterathon TBR, which took place in September, that I didn't get to, and I really want to. So I want to read Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. This is definitely an eerie, atmospheric type read. It's YA. Destined to destroy empires, Mia Corvere is only 10 years old when she's given her first lesson in death. 6 years later, she's raised in the shadows and takes her first steps towards keeping the promise she made on the day that she lost everything. I remember, this is actually a reread. I read it maybe like 4 years ago when it came out. Absolutely loved it, but I never went on in the series. I think this is a trilogy. I have to look it up, but I definitely need to reread this in order to go on in the series. So I look forward to this one. The next book that I want to read is Phantoms by Dean Koontz. This is also a reread, but I don't remember anything about it. Dean Koontz is kind of like another Stephen King. He's very famous. He's been writing books almost as long as King. Still comes out with new books, every year. And he writes, kind of in the same vein of, books that are creepy or have monsters or atmospheric. And this I read when I was like 16 or something like that. So it's been a long time, and I can't wait to get back into this. And they said they found the town silent, apparently abandoned. Then they found the first body, strangely swollen and still warm. 150 were dead, 350 were missing, but the terror had only just begun. I remember loving this. So this is, an adult horror, and I remember loving it when I was like 16, and I hope to love it still. I don't remember anything about it, so that was the blurb from the back, though. So the next book that I want to read is Three Dark Crowns. This is another book where I read it a few years ago, don't remember anything, and I never went on in the series, but I remember really enjoying it. So this is going to be a reread for me, and hopefully I can go on to books 2 and 3. Actually, it's not a trilogy. I think it has 4 books in the series. But this is about 3 sisters, 3 princesses, rather. I think they're princesses. This is YA. They're equal heirs to the throne. They grew up apart for most of their lives, and they each possess a certain type of magic, and they need to fight to the death, basically, until one survives, and that person becomes queen. So I remember I thought this was so interesting. The magic was so interesting. So I can't wait to reread this also so I can go on in the series. That's like a theme. I always love the first book in a series, but then, I don't know, years pass and you never go on in the series, and then you have to reread the first book in order to remember what it was about. So yes, I will be reading this in the month of October. It definitely has that witchy kind of magic vibe to it. The next book that I want to read is Kraven Manor by Darcy Coates. Darcy Coates, I've never read anything by her. This will be my first book. But she writes a lot of like horror books. And all of her books seem to revolve around like hauntings or ghosts or, creepy things, haunted houses, things like that. And Kraven Manor is one of those books. So I have actually 2 ebooks by her, but I think I'm going to concentrate on Kraven Manor because it seems most interesting. And the cover drew me in. I mean, isn't this like the creepiest cover ever? And this cover definitely made me want to reread, and I remembered that I had, those ebooks. So I'm going to be reading Kraven Manor by Darcy Coontz. The next one I want to read is Time's Convert by Deborah Harkness. Deborah Harkness is the author of the All Souls trilogy, which is a discovery of witches, Shadow of Night, and the Book of Life, which I've talked about so many times. I definitely want to read Time's Convert. It's the next in the series, although it focuses on a different character. So this one focuses on Matthew's son, Marcus, who became a vampire around the Revolutionary War in the 1700s in the US. Obviously, it was the Revolutionary War. So I can't wait to read about that. Marcus appears so many times in, the All Souls trilogy, and he is such a fun character that I cannot wait to see, his story in Time's Convert, and definitely falls, in the Halloween theme for October. The next book I'm interested in reading is House of Furies by Madeline Roux. And this is about a young woman who becomes a maid in a house. And I'm just reading from Goodreads here. She becomes a maid in a boarding house, and she comes to realize that there's more to the people in this boarding house than meets the eye. There's some very harsh characters, as I understand, and, it kind of has that eerie type feel to it. So I'll know more once I get into this book, but it's been one I've been wanting to read for a while. The last book for sure on my October TBR is Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. So this is the third book in the Diviners series. So the Diviners is the first book. The second book is Lair of Dreams, and the third book is Before the Devil Breaks You. So this is a historical fiction. It takes place in the 1920s. It is very eerie. It has kind of a gothic feel to it. They conjure spirits, and it's all sorts of crazy things that they must deal with. This is also a YA series. And just to read you a little bit of the first book, because I don't want to spoil anything, Evie O'Neill has been exiled from her old hometown and shipped to the bustling streets of New York City. It is 1926, and New York is filled with speakeasies, Ziegfeld girls, and rakish pickpockets. The only catch is she has to live with her uncle. She worries that he'll discover her darkest secret, a supernatural power that has brought her trouble so far. So this supernatural power comes to play in the books, and she finds herself dealing with supernatural beings and creatures that are very scary. So I really enjoy this book. I mean, I wouldn't call it horror, but it's fun, especially because of the whole 1926 atmosphere of New York City. And also, the horror parts of it, the monsters and the demons and the, supernatural creatures that come about are quite fun as well. So I'll be reading Before the Devil Breaks You. And the fourth book, I think, is coming out soon. So hopefully I'll be able to read that fourth book soon as well. So that is it. That is my October TBR. Those are the books that I definitely want to read in the month of October. Hopefully I get to all of them. I may add in one, here or there if I see a book that really interests me and fits with the season. But yeah, I'll let you know as the weeks progress in October how I'm doing. But I hope you all are enjoying the fall weather wherever you are. I hope that you're having a wonderful week. I hope you have a good weekend ahead, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye.